According to a study that I just made up, 69% of all D&D players want to play in a pirate campaign. Okay, I mean, obviously I made up that number, there's no specific data on that, but if you Google D&D campaigns and search by Reddit, there are a lot of threads asking about how to run a pirate campaign. Duh, pirates are dope. But what if I told you that there's a system that could give you the perfect pirate campaign? Not a supplement, not a campaign book, but a whole nother game built entirely around everyone's favorite morally ambiguous 18th century seafarers.
Wait, why would I go out and buy a new game when I could just run a pirate campaign in D&D, which I already have and know how to play?
Best I can do is a metaphor. You're a big fan of ice cream. You like how refreshing it is on a cold day. You like the sweetness of it. You even like the texture of it because you're a freaking weirdo. But you've only ever had vanilla. Now, let's say you also love chocolate, which I mean, of course you do. It is the best of all flavors. And what if you really want to combine your love of chocolate with your love of ice cream? You have two options. First, you could just drench your vanilla ice cream in chocolate sauce. Well, that'll probably be pretty tasty and it might scratch that chocolate itch. At the end of the day, you're still just eating vanilla ice cream with chocolate sauce drizzled on top. Your second option is you could get chocolate ice cream, which was designed from the beginning to deliver a delicious chocolatey ice cream experience. Homebrewing D&D for pirates is drizzling chocolate sauce on top of the vanilla ice cream. Playing Rapscallion is eating chocolate ice cream. But what makes Rapscallion your chocolatey, delectable, icy, frozen treat? Well, a lot, like a whole lot. Now, I don't want to edit an hour-long video, so I'm just going to tell you about some of the things that got me hype when I read through this rulebook. Let's start with character classes, called playbooks in the rulebook. There's 6 of them, and rather than being like fighter, wizard, soul knife, they're actually based on various piratey tropes, sort of. And they're all designed to deliver vastly different gameplay experiences than what you get in the Dragon game. These playbooks are the captain, which should be obvious. They're designed around being in charge, buffing the crew, and screwing the crew over to pursue their own ambitions. Oh, hello, Beyonce. There's the chronicler, who serves kind of like a mage role, but was clearly written by very self-important English majors. They can write books, and in Rapscallion, books are magical. What's really cool though is that they can make the books do whatever they want, aka they can kind of write their own spells. They might also accidentally create a magical genie in doing so though. The swashbuckler is kind of your classic romantic corsair. I get Will Turner vibes. They're all about intra-crew relationships and the very romantic, dramatic side to being a pirate. The mountebank is kind of like a pirate warlock. They're gonna spend a lot of time dealing with a literal demon, and in return, they're gonna get really dope powers. The Matalot is Roranora Zoro. Probably. I've only seen like 18 episodes of One Piece. They're kind of like the barbarian from traditional fantasy games in that they're filled with anger that causes problems. They can also be a werewolf. And finally, there's the navigator, who has the closest relationship with the ship. They're also cursed by the sea and vulnerable to being hunted down by the ocean at any time.
Slow your roll, bro. Descriptions are cool and all, but that doesn't actually tell me how this offers a vastly different experience than what I'd get in the Dragon game.
Great point. So as a single example, let's take the Barbarian from 5e. At first level, they get Rage, which gives them a bonus to strength saving throws, to strength checks, it boosts their damage, and it gives them damage resistance. On the other hand, the Matalot, which, as we mentioned, is basically Rapscallion's Barbarian, gets Fisticuffs. This lets them destroy an obstacle and either take damage or attract unwanted attention, or both if they don't roll that great. And if they fully fail the roll, the consequences are even more clearly defined. In this case, the Matalot wrecks something that they shouldn't have, and they create new obstacles. Now, I am but a humble content creator, but to me, that far more exemplifies the fantasy of being a rash brute than
gaining advantage on strength throws.
Now, a crew of pirates wouldn't be complete without a ship, and in Rapscallion, the ship is super important. Shocker, I know. In fact, the ship that you and your party choose is going to determine what kind of campaign you and your party are gonna play.
Dude, how so?
Well, in order to tell you that, I have to tell you how players progress in Rapscallion, because there's 2 ways to do so. For starters, there's the obvious way. You accumulate experience via failing rolls, screwing over your crew, and possibly at the end of every session. But there's also the renown system, which kind of serves as experience for you and your entire crew. It starts at 0 and goes all the way up to 5. Once you hit Renown 5, congratulations, you've won the game. In order to increase your crew's renown, you have to hit certain objectives, and the ship that you guys pick determines what those objectives are, which in turn determines what kind of campaign y'all are going to play. So as of the quick start guide released in March of 2023, there are 2 ships. The Legend is kind of like the Black Pearl. You'll have things like defeat a powerful rival or plunder an enemy stronghold, and finally become pirate lords. Whereas the Ramshackle is kind of like the Going Merry. Granted, I've seen 18 episodes of One Piece. The objectives here are a little bit smaller in scale. We're talking successfully complete a bounty and steal a treasure and solo a ship battle. But the impact of your ship choice doesn't just end with what sort of objectives you and your crew need to complete. The party ship in Rapscallion serves as almost another character within the party and even has its own character creation. As a group, you'll decide what sort of kit your ship is going to start with, what sort of secrets your ship might have, and my personal favorite, what is your ship's oddity. Now, when I first read choose your oddity, I thought it was just flavor, like there is a bust of Cthulhu on the mast or something like that. But your oddity can actually have pretty big gameplay implications. For example, my favorite oddity is ghosts for the Legend. It makes your legendary ship haunted and it binds your character's souls to it. As a result, you get an ultimate that can like summon a ghost horde that will kill everyone besides the crew. Both the Legend and the Ramshackle each have 3 oddity options, and each one has just as big of gameplay implications as Ghost Ship.
Okay, so like character classes and ships are cool, but like how do you actually play the game?
Great question. So Rapscallion is what's called a Powered by the Apocalypse game. That basically just means it's rules light, it's focused more on the story than specific gameplay mechanics, and pretty much every single role is resolved with 2d6. There's a GM and there are players. The GM describes the environment and the players react to it. The GM then reacts to the players reacting to whatever it is, and it's a conversation. Eventually in this back and forth, mechanics will get triggered, dice will be rolled, and everyone gets to find out what happens. There's a lot of resources on the internet that go over how PBTA games actually work, and honestly, the minutia of it really bores me, so I would recommend you look that up yourself. What doesn't bore me are some of the unique gameplay mechanics that Rapscallion has. One of my favorites is called Vice. Essentially, each class has a vice, which is a persistent wrench in your pirate's ass that they have to deal with. So like the Mountebank's vice is giving into what their demon tells them to do, which often screws over the crew. The Chronicler's vice is ditching real life and escaping into their books, and possibly summoning a genie. That screws over the crew. Meanwhile, the Navigator's vice is that they have a very specific deal that they made with the sea, and if they break that deal, sea creatures will try to hunt them down and claim their soul, and probably screw over the crew. I'm also a big fan of how the game handles ship combat because it's super simple. When you get in range of an enemy ship or sea monster or whatever, you can choose one of 4 ship moves. Either attack the foe head on, try to escape, try to outmaneuver the enemy to get a better situation, or surrender. Then you roll the dice. If you elect to get into combat, then the mechanics go back to the basic moves and the 2 of you duke it out. What I really like about this though is how severe the consequences are. I feel like in a lot of PBTA games, failing isn't that big of a deal. You just mark some XP and then life goes on. Rapscallion's ship moves don't play like that. If you fail at taking an enemy head on, then your crew is going to be significantly disadvantaged in the ship battle. If you try to escape and you fail, you have to make an insane sacrifice to get away, or you get caught. If you fail at outmaneuvering your foe, then you get pinned down and you have to either fight your way out or surrender. And if you fail at surrendering, well... Now, here's the best part about Rapscallion and why this video isn't being that thorough. The rules are totally free. The quick start guide is on Magpie's website. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. If you follow the link, you'll get the quick start rules, you'll get all of the crew playbooks, and you'll get the 2 ship playbooks all for free. Magpie didn't pay me to make this video. I'm just really stoked about this game. Hopefully you're stoked about this game too. If you're not though, you made it this far, then you should probably click right here, and where I talk about a bunch of other tabletop role-playing games that I'm very stoked about. And thank you so much for watching.